Hello! Welcome to Levels Plus Weekly, episode 61. Collections video. And as you can see all around me is a good chunk of it, as well as everything back there. So I'm going to try to keep this short. I'm not going to get into every individual thing, because this is not just the games I'm going to cover. I've got all my books, shirts, art. We're going to do it all today, so it's going to probably run a little long. So I want to try to keep it as short as I can, but I hope that you find this very interesting. I've also got some pickups, so we'll toss those right after this intro because they're included in the collection. First off, I've got some stuff from my Nintendo. So I got the Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes notepad. It's got all of the lords and Shez in both versions and Arval artwork. And since I was ordering that, I went ahead and got the Smash Brothers stationery set. So I might be doing some props with that later. But the big surprise, the big enchilada, so to say, is this box. It's been a long time coming, but it is the Castlevania Anniversary Collection Ultimate Edition, I think is what they called it. Before we jump into that box in full, there's the limited run trading card that they do with these. There's also the Fun Club newsletter that they're doing now, which is actually the first one of these I've gotten. But let's actually dive into this box, because there's a lot going on in here. A Castlevania retro logo pin. We have the History of Castlevania book, which, as best as I understand, is a reprint of all of the contents within the Anniversary Collection. It's bonus content, which is actually the main reason why I ordered this thing. There's a bunch of prints of the various covers. So here's the original Castlevania. There's a replica box with the new art by Tom Du Bois in that retro NES style. I got two of them. This one's actually a slipcase, I guess, for the Switch. Alright, let's get all the other small bits out. Here's a bunch of pins of the various box arts. Kind of hard to see with the ring light, but there you go. Simon's Quest and Dracula's Curse. And I will do some assembly. It looks cool. Here is the rest of the goodies are inside of here. So one sec. All right, so this pops off. So it is a Genesis style clamshell case. And inside has all kinds of stuff. So here is a steel book. And I don't think there's anything on the inside. Nope, just a maze of the original, or the map of the original game. And then we have, of course, the actual game itself buried in here with this limited run sleeve. We have an original soundtrack. So this is basically a compilation of various songs from all of the games included, including a few remixes, I'm guessing, at the bottom. And then here is the big poster. So you can roll two ways. You can roll Dracula's Curse style, or you can roll original Castlevania style. And I am on the record for the original Castlevania box art being among my absolute favorites of all time, so that'll be the side I roll with. Alright, so inside the game case is a full color manual and a reversible sleeve. The manual is basically just a quick overview of all of the games, so nothing too exciting there. Open up the history book, and it's pretty much what I said it was. It's It's a nicely printed version of the digital contents, showing off various aspects of the games. There's some interviews, but I think the history of Castlevania section towards the back is going to be what catches most people's attention, especially as it starts getting into this stuff, because some of this stuff just isn't documented super well. And so it is kind of nice to have these design documents, which weren't revealed before this release, out there available to the public to read. I was actually able to modify my Castlevania history article thanks to those contents. So I think that's a cool little bonus. So let me get the shadow box set up and then we will be right back. Alright, so I've learned how the shadow box works. So you can see it's lit from the bottom and it looks pretty cool. And it plays Bloody Tears. Which is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm ultimately very happy with getting this Ultimate Edition of Castlevania Anniversary Collection. Castlevania is my favorite franchise, up there with Metroid, and in contrast, there hasn't been a whole lot of this type of stuff available for Castlevania until very recently. Konami's been a little bit more okay with licensing. But the book was the primary reason I actually went for this. I wanted to have this in the in a printed format so I could refer to it without having to turn the game on. So that's really nice. The shadow box is great. Having a soundtrack with possible new arrangements is kind of neat. I'll have to figure out what's going on there. And there's just a lot of cool extra little content that will just make me happy. So I got to figure out where I'm going to put all this stuff. I got a lot more stuff before we actually get into this collections video. So let's run through it real quick. So I got Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This is part of the limited edition, but Nintendo of America is following Nintendo of Europe's lead and isn't shipping the special edition contents until later. So I just have the game, which is totally fine. I'm getting very excited to play it this weekend. I also got my Femtendo order, which wraps up 1987 in terms of Japanese games, which is incredibly exciting, to my knowledge. I always have to throw that caveat in there. So let's roll through those two games real fast. So I got Biosenshi Dan. Unfortunately, the lighting is terrible right now. I am sorry. And I also got Indra no Hikari. Those were the last two. I also need to get Wizards and Warriors. So I also got a bunch of other stuff because if I'm going to order from Japan and pay huge shipping costs, I might as well get my money's worth. So I got a bunch of stuff for future books. So I got a Tente Jinguji Saburo Kiken na Ninen. First part. This is just the disc. I got it because I'm going to photograph it and then sell it. I don't have any interest in keeping these games. But I needed it because eventually I'm going to need to cover these games in more detail. And this way I think I have finally covered all 4 of the Tente Sengugi Saburo games. So that's exciting. I also got the first Famicom Detective Club game, which has really cool box art. So this is nice to finally have the first half. I need to get the second half as well for future coverage, but I've been trying to snag these and they keep selling out before I get a chance to grab them. I also got 2 boxed games because I've not seen them loose. So this is Stead. This was released by KAC, K Amusement Leasing, which seems to be somehow related to SNK. because they have released some of their games before. I don't know if SNK had anything to do with this particular game. It's an RPG. There's a woman in the main cast. What I've read is that it's not a very good RPG, but over the entire history of the site that I buy these games from, this is the only copy that's ever appeared. So I had to jump on it. The other one I got is called Egypt, which is developed by Human. And if I remember right, this is a very unique game, but I don't remember enough about it to talk about it in detail. But women are playable or heavily involved with the story somehow. And the rest of these are carts. So we'll start with the deluxe carts. And this is one of the really cool ones I got. This is the Splatterhouse game that came to the Famicom, aka Watjuki Graffiti. I'll put the correct title down here. I've always kind of wanted this game, and it's on one of the Namco Museum Archives collections, so I got to play it, and it's like, oh, this is super cool. So now I have it, which is really neat. I also got Ninja Rahoi. I don't know much about this game other than women are involved somehow. I think one's playable. There is one on the cover at least. And then Pinball Quest, the Japanese version of this game. I got this. I did some research, but there's multiple bosses, or at least 2 bosses that are women, and then there's a princess that you rescue at the end. So it felt like I should get it. This is Hisasu Dojo Yaburi. This is a Karate Champ-esque game with RPG elements, and there's 3 women masters that you have to fight. Puyo Puyo Classic. This is going to represent both entries on the Famicom, because it also got a Famicom Disk System version, but I'm not going to track that down. And I think this came out a little bit later, but I'm going to use it to cover both. This is Sei Regari. This is a Hudson Soft game. I think it's an RPG, if I remember right, that I had not seen show up before on their service. And there's a woman on the cover who I think is fairly prominent. Got a couple Konami games. This is Yume Penguin Monogatari. You have to impress your girlfriend in order to continue dating her. So you have to do a lot of activities in the platforming that goes on in that game. And then I also got Kid Dracula, which Finn is very excited about, aka Akumajo Castlevania Special Boku Dracula-kun. This is a cool game. It's on the Konami Anniversary Collection, and there's a couple women involved with it, so had to pick that up. And then last but not least is one of the many Adventure of Lolo / Eggerland games that came out in Japan. We only got 3 here, but there are a lot more in Japan. And this one is the first unique one that wasn't a port. And someone put some really funny stickers on the back. But thankfully there's nothing on the front. So I'll get to cover Lala. And that is everything that I have acquired as of late. Well, let's begin with Wave 1 of my Famicom collection. Specifically just Famicom. I have a sizable NES collection, but not in comparison to what I bought for Nintendo and decided to hold on to. So I realized that this is not the cleanest, clearest, most effective way to do this, but I'm doing it within the means. One of these days I'll get a really high-end camera, so that way I could really show these off better. But for now, this will have to work. So here, starting on this side, is all the Nintendo published stuff. And then we have a Taito game here with Olive Square, and then Enix down here, and Namco up here. We have Pony Canyon, Capcom, Jalico, And then Konami, I have a lot of Konami games. I have almost 3 rows of Konami games. This one, and to there. And then these are all Hudson. And then these are just kind of boxed, the other box stuff I've got for Wavejack, Human, Culture Brain, these 2. This is KAC, which is tied to SNK, so that's why these 2 are next to each other. And then ASCII Login Soft. I certainly have sold in some stuff that I bought for Nintendo that I just don't have any interest in retaining. But all of this stuff, I went through it this morning. This is what I want to keep, primarily because it's either a game that I'm interested in playing at some point, or it stars or features a playable woman as part of the cast. You know, it's really remarkable just looking on this right now how much output Konami had on the Famicom. And how much of it we didn't get to see. Like, we got the 3 Castlevanias, we got Stinger, we got Life Force, and the Goonies 2 and Track and Field 2. And that's it out of everything else that's sitting here. We didn't get Kid Dracula, the Esper Dream games, this cute little penguin platformer, I Sensei Nicole, Twinbee 3, Parodius, the YY World games, Nightmare 2, this motocross game, Lagrange Point, any of the Goemon games, and then we didn't see their tennis or pool game. Just kind of wild to me how much they did, and this is nowhere near complete for them either. There's still some more stuff of theirs I gotta pick up. But that's Wave 1. I would say, like, my favorite thing, I think, out of all of these favorite things, we'll have a couple favorite things. I'm so pleased to have Castlevania 1, 2, and 3 boxed and complete with manual. That is really exciting to me to have my favorite series represented. Same deal with Metroid. I have a complete Metroid. But there is, like, when I look at my Famicom collection, I really am awestruck with what I have. I think the absolute coolest thing out of probably everything that I have in terms of just like this looks rad is the Salamander, which I'll put up here. It's a translucent blue cart, and it's got a clear label that works really well with it. Really cool looking cartridge. Yeah, let's tag in Wave 2. Alright, here's Wave 2 of the Famicom stuff along with my NES stuff. So we have some Data East stuff over here, Technos, and then we have a high score game, which is technically Game Arts. And then we have, I don't know the publisher of Hoshu Wato Hero or whatever it's called, but I think it's King Records, so that's why it's down there. And then we have Takuma Shoten, Sunsoft, Kempco, Soulful, Gakken. This one's King. Very. And then DBsoft, Irem, and then I think that's Victor. I don't know who published that game. And then for the NES stuff, there's Nintendo, Natsume and Limited Run, Metal Storm, and I think that was from Limited Run as well. And then the 4 Dragon Warrior games, and then my Capcom, Konami, and then just kind of grab bag of Sunsoft, Milton Bradley, Parker Brothers, Broderbund, and Culture Brain. I think that it's pretty clear in terms of the NES stuff that having all 4 of the Dragon Warrior games boxed is still my pride and joy. But my personal favorite thing about these games in particular is still like Mega Man 3, Super Mario Brothers 2. I just have, like, this is the first game I ever bought with my own money. And then Mega Man 3, I think, is the game that made me become a fan of something way more than I had ever been before. And then there's just a lot of good stuff here in this pile. A lot of the Famicom stuff I don't have a lot of exposure with, but it's really cool having all of it. I mean, I have the Japanese version of Blaster Master and River City Ransom and the Guardian Legend just hanging out here with me right now, and it's just kind of wild to think about. Here's the Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 things I have. I haven't really grown the Super Famicom, Super Nintendo stuff a ton. I do have the new edition of Terranigma, which is a fan localization project that my friend JD gave me, which was awfully kind of him. In terms of the N64, not much I think has changed since last year other than Mischief Makers. And I don't remember if I had Soul Blazer and Terranigma for the Super Famicom last time I did this. So that's what I've got in terms of favorite stuff. I mean, Super Metroid is awesome. Chrono Trigger is, I think, my favorite Super Nintendo Famicom item. I'm still amazed that I have some of the box N64 stuff that I do. Ogre Battle 64, Zelda Ocarina of Time Limited Edition, Resident Evil 2, International Superstar Soccer 98, Harvest Moon 64. That one's the most recent box thing I've gotten. But I definitely need to get some more Super Nintendo stuff. And here's the mini consoles. So I've got a Egra 2 Mini, I've got an Astro City Mini. The Egra came with the trackball paddle controller with the extra games, so that's why that's hanging out over here. And then I have an NES and Super NES Classic, a Genesis Mini, and a TurboGrafx 16 Mini. I have a Mega Drive Mini 2 on the way in October. I really love all of these. I think they are all fantastic. I have rated all of them now. I got through the Astro City Mini and the Egra 2 Mini this year. And I think all of them were definitely worth the money. Here's the Dreamcast, Saturn, Game Boy Advance, and PSP stuff I have. A little bit of a motley crew of randomness, but it just kind of worked out that way. I am so happy to have Grandia 2 back. That's a relatively new addition to the collection. I'm so glad I haven't sold Project Justice or Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or Street Fighter Alpha 3. Actually, like the Dreamcast games I still have are all very important to me in some way, and I'm glad Grandia 2 is back in the collection. The Saturn games are kind of an oddity. I wanted to have some form of March of the Black Queen and Tactics Ogre. So they were the cheapest way to get them. I don't have a way to play them anytime soon, but it's still cool to have them. Game Boy Advance stuff, Tactics Ogre is the relative new thing there. Probably won't be getting too many more box GBA games. I'm pretty happy with what I got. Especially like what I would want is expensive, like getting the 2 Castlevania games I don't have, for example. And then Dracula X Chronicles, I don't plan on getting a PSP, but I had the option to grab it, so I did, just to kind of round out the collection of my Castlevania favoritism, I guess. PS2 and GameCube this go around. I have some really good PS2 games. I can't believe I have all of the PS2 Suikoden games. That I have all the Shadow Hearts games. That I have Dragon Quarter, both the Silent Hill games that I want, 2 and 3 to be specific. Grim Grimoire. Grandia Extreme is probably the newest thing here. On the GameCube side of things, I recently got Ikaruga and Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, as well as the Japanese version of Skies of Arcadia Legends. and 1080 as well. So those are all relatively new. Probably Skies is the newest thing. But I do love my little PS2 and GameCube collections. I've kind of distilled the the GameCube to what I want, essentially. There might be like one or two more games that I want to pick up, like Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. That's the one that I always want to find, but I never seem to grab it. PS2 wise, though, I'm pretty happy with what I got. I don't know if there would be too much more I'd want to add to it. But we'll see. Something might just come across my path and I'll be totally shocked. This seems a bit like a random hodgepodge because pulling everything off of my back shelf here, there's a lot of Switch stuff. I have a lot of PS1 and DS stuff and Wii stuff, and the Wii U, I had too much to fit into this space. So 3DS, PS4, PS5. Now it's funny that I have PS4 and PS5 games because I don't have a system to play them on, but I will eventually. That is the intention. Guilty Gear Strive and King of Fighters 15 were collector's editions. Stardew Valley is actually a collector's edition. That is the most recent thing I have acquired in terms of video games because JD just sent me that, which was very nice of him to do. JD is a very kind individual. I appreciate him very much. So I can't really comment on the PS4, PS5 side of things. I will comment briefly on the 3DS side. I love Awakening. I just replayed it this year. I do think I like Echoes more, but I need to replay that to be sure. I'm glad I have Dragon Quest 8 and 7 because they've gotten a bit rare. And underrated gem is The Alliance Alive. Seriously, you should consider playing that game. It's really, really good. Okay. Next up is DS, Wii U, and PS3 to continue the strange collection hodgepodge. In terms of the PS3, I absolutely adore the Dead Space 1 and 2 games a ton. I like Deus Ex Human Revolution a lot. I think Dragon's Dogma, Ultimate Marvel 3, Bioshock 1 are great. What I played Valkyria Chronicles I was enjoying, but I dropped it and I'm needing to get back into it. I haven't started Resonance of Fate yet. I really like Mirror's Edge as well. Haven't played Bioshock 2 yet. Eventually. On the Wii U side of things, I have played all of those games that you see before you. Breath of the Wild, of course, is my most cherished of those, but Shovel Knight and SteamWorld Heist and Finn. I'm still glad I held on to Wind Waker and Twilight Princess because those have still not shown up on the Switch. Heist, SteamWorld Heist is one of my favorite strategy games ever. I love Shovel Knight a ton, especially the original game, but I think that all of them that I've played have been great. I still need to play King of Cards. On the DS side of things, I am so glad I have all these Dragon Quest games because, whew, trying to get them now is not an easy thing to do. Chrono Trigger as well. It's the definitive version of the game as of this moment, in my opinion. I got Hotel Dusk back, thankfully, so I was able to replay that. Still love that game. Ghost Trick, I've been watching Short One Gaming play through that, and that's been an absolute delight. And of course, I do love me Apollo Justice. It's my favorite Ace Attorney game. I need to do a ranked of that series now that I have played all the mainline ones. And then Castlevania, of course. I would like to get Dawn of Sorrow back. I did sell it. I didn't think I was going to miss it, but I do, despite the gameplay stuff that I really feel cramps its style, I do miss it. So that is one I do want to reacquire. But generally speaking, I think there might be a couple PS3 games I'd like to pick up, but I kind of have all the Wii U stuff I think I want in terms of physical. And there's, like I said, Dawn of Sorrow is one of the Castlevanias I'd like to get back. It won't be easy to do. But there's probably a couple other rando DS games I would be okay with reacquiring. Wii and PS1 games. In terms of new things, these two are definitely the newest items that I have, and having Tron and Mega Man Legends 2 in a so much cheaper to acquire Japanese format with much better box arts just makes me much happier. I have both of them on my PS3, but just in case something happens, it is nice to have them physically in some way. Star Ocean's pretty new. I don't quite remember when I got that, but I'm pretty stoked to have it. And then Vandal Hearts is also relatively new as well, which I had to reacquire that game because it just decided to stop working. I haven't got anything new on the Wii in quite some time. The newest thing here is Little King's Story, which I reacquired. My favorite Wii thing is The Last Story. That's the collector's first day edition. I absolutely adore that thing. I usually have it facing out because the art for The Last Story is among my absolute favorites in all of games. In terms of the PS1 side of things, I think Symphony of the Night would be my most cherished thing, even though it's just a greatest hits. It was my first PS1 game that I remember getting. A former contributor to my site sent it to me out of the goodness of his heart, so I still have it. I still cherish it. It's one of my favorite games to this day. Alright, Wave 1 of Switch, because if anything's going to rival that Famicom collection of mine, it is the Switch. I have so many games for it. It is my favorite system of all time. It's just loaded with so much good stuff. And I've actually gotten a lot of really cool things with my Switch collection. A lot of collector's editions and stuff like that. So, just to run through what's special, the Darius games up here are all collector's edition versions. Gris is. The Ace Attorney trilogy here is from Japan. It's not a special edition, but it's still neat. Castlevania Anniversary Collection Special Edition. I'm getting the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Special Edition contents later this year. I do have Definitive Edition as a special. I have both of these as a special, and then Metroid Dread down there also as a special. I have not played all of these, but I will say in terms of absolute favorite games of all time, like top contenders for some of the best that I've ever played, got Metroid Dread over there. We'll just kind of go in order. Mario Odyssey is a fantastic game. Splatoon 2 is one of my absolute favorites. These two, I love these games. I love Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I love Smash Ultimate. In terms of compilations, I feel Castlevania Anniversary Collection is one of the best ones on the Switch. I love Untitled Goose Game, I adore Gris, I love Spiritfarer. Capcom Fighting Collection is another one that's one of the best compilations on the Switch. Ninja Saviors is one of my absolute favorite 2D games of all time. I feel that the Darius compilations are solid as well. And I've enjoyed what I've played of Dragon Quest XI so far, and I really like Trials of Mana. So those are my thoughts on what's currently out. Wave 2. A few more collector's edition items in here, namely Sakuna down over there, River City Girls, Chris Tales, Samurai Showdown, Neo Geo Collection. This one was as well. I didn't get the collector's edition of a couple of these. This is a collector's edition, and then Streets of Rage 4 was. I could have got collector's editions for a few of these, but I decided not to. Trying to just not fill my house with a bunch of stuff. It can be hard sometimes. More great games in here though. Streets of Rage 4, Sonic Mania. Excellent, excellent games in those franchises. I really like Blaster Master Zero. I think 2 is good, but not as good as the original. Wild Guns Reloaded, of course. One of the best remakes of a game. XCOM 2, War of the Chosen, is one of my absolute favorite games of all time, and it's this version I played. In terms of the SNK stuff, I mean, they're solid. I just haven't really played with them a whole lot, so I need to get around to doing that. River City Girls is one of my favorite beat-em-ups ever, and Sukuna's been a lot of fun, but I gotta get back into it. Bloodstained is great, although I will admit Switch is probably not the best way to play it. And I liked what I played of Crosscode so far, but I kind of fell off of it because I got stuck on a puzzle, and I just haven't gotten back into it. But the rest of these I haven't got into deep enough to really feel super confident in giving elaborate explanations on. So that is all of the games as of this moment. Let's move into the rest of my stuff. So books, shirts, toys, miscellaneous. Alright, and over here is where I've got all the Switch stuff. 3DS, DS, Wii U, PS3, PS4, PS5, PS1, as well as just some bits of my collection. There's this guy here. And then over here is my art that's on the walls. There's a few new things since I think I did this last time. The Secret of Mana poster came from my friend JD. This KOF 97 print came from the KOF art book. I still love my Gris watercolor. I hung up my Ninja Saviors poster since I remembered that I had it. Blaster Master Zero, Streets of Rage 4 posters, relatively new, I think. And then up above the door are those. And then I have the Castlevania Anniversary Collection on the door because I don't know where else to put it. And then over here, there's some more art. The KOF art is from KOF 15. And then down here is a Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes cloth map that I got with that limited edition. Over here, I've got all of my pins and smaller toys, as well as my Beyond Good and Evil papercraft gifts and the Castlevania Anniversary Collection Shadow Box. So I just didn't really have a better place for it. So here's a little bit of a closer look. Okay, let's get into the hutches a little bit. So in here's all of my Famicom stuff that I showed you earlier, as well as the Super Nintendo stuff. And then down here in 64 and the NES stuff. Alright, and down here are my books, the Guide to Japanese Role-Playing Games and the NES Anthology, as well as the NES Compendium. Those are all pretty new. There's my books there. I've got some playing cards and random Lego figures from my youth hanging out in here. In the back, we have some of my gender and gaming books, as well as some of my other books that I need to find a better home for. I just haven't quite gotten around to that yet. I don't really want them all hanging out in the back here. And then down here, hey, it's all the consoles that I have that I can't really use outside the PS3. As well as the Egret 2 paddle and some CD DVD cases in my DS case. Alright, in here is controllers, PS2 and 64, Dreamcast, and the Wii and the DS and the 3DS are hanging out in here. And there's GameCube, there's the Wii U, that's the Wii U stuff. I think we are getting into the mini controllers here. And then that's the actual original NES Super Nintendo stuff. Down in here is a bag of cords. Many bags of cords. But there's also strategy guides and what Nintendo powers I have. And in this hutch, there's the PS2, GameCube, Game Boy Advance, Saturn, Dreamcast stuff. As well as the mini consoles. And then there's the Astro City and the Egret hanging out together. And then a bunch of art books. These are the smaller ones, so there's a lot of new things in here. The Darius Odyssey Cosmic Voyager is new. Castlevania History is new. King of Fighters 15 art book. A lot of the Sam Show art books, which this one, for example, is new. Chris Tales art book is new. That came last year. What's probably the coolest thing is I still have some of the Bard's Tale manuals from the C64, and this one here in particular is called a Dream Quest. It's a clue book that basically takes the story of the game and then writes like a D&D campaign around it. So it's pretty neat, actually. And then down here, so here's the bottom shelf with my taller hardcover art books and just really stretchy ones. In terms of newer things, the Zelda Breath of the Wild Expanded Edition Guide is pretty new. The Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes art book here is pretty new. And then the King of Fighters Ultimate History Deluxe Edition is pretty new. But I'm really happy to have all of these. There's a couple comic books that I think have gotten squished into the back there. I kind of see you poking out back there. So I'll need to find probably a better home for those. And there's also a Nintendo Adventure book hanging out up here that I need to probably find a better home for. But yeah, so these are all of my books. Now all the toys, and boy, there's a lot of those up here. So this is above the left hutch that you can typically see when I do one of these videos. In terms of new things that I can remember that are new, Shez here is new. And then the River City Girls in the back, they're new. Our Chris Tells Frog is pretty new. Our Darius Craft there is pretty new. But I think, and Min Min came out this year, so she's new. And then the Blaster Master tank there, I don't remember if I had that last year or not. So that's what's new over on this side. Over here, let me do a pan first. I do love this Gris vinyl, ended up being such a great backdrop. And the Gris art book, because it's so tall, is hanging out in the corner there. Lynn, of course, is the newest thing. But in terms of other new stuff, Pyramid Head there, he's pretty new. Idleguard, I want to say I had when I did this last year. And the Streets of Rage statue, I think I had when I did this last year. Alright, up high to the top here. Let's do the pan first. This is where I keep all the boxes and bigger items, as well as some of the toys. So coming from this side, the Castlevania Anniversary Collection box is new. The Chris Tells box, I believe, is new enough to warrant commenting on it. The Castlevania Anniversary Collection box is hanging out up there, as well as the Egret 2 mini box. The Wild Guns Reloaded postcard's new. I've gotten a few Marvel figures in the last year, so I got Yelena, America, who has unfortunately fallen, and I didn't realize it, so I gotta pick her up. And Wanda, of course. And the Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes box just has really nice art, so I wanted that up here. So yeah, that's all the toys. I picked her back up. It's not perfect, because I'd have to really get set up to do anything up high on these hutches, but she's no longer lying down. Okay, shirts. a very daunting prospect, to be honest, because I have so many. I haven't bought any in a while, so we're going to just kind of rapid fire through these, except for the ones that I know that I've gotten in like the last year, which will be a couple. So I've got this shirt here, which is one of my favorites. This is also another one of my favorites. I got this one from Fangamer quite a while ago. I wish they still made stuff like this, but they don't anymore. This one came from Nintendo Power. Another Fangamer. Okay, I think those are all the Metroid shirts. Earthbound, I have a few. So I got this one. This was the last Fangamer shirt that I bought that was in this style of not really paying for the licenses. But it's one that is definitely a mood. This one is weirdly faded. You can kind of see it. It's Starman invading some city on Eagle Land, but for some reason it's not as bright as it used to be. It's kind of weird. Don't really know what's going on there. And then this is my trademark Ness Halloween costume shirt. This is one of the new ones. I just got this from the Yeti. It's Lynn from Fire Emblem. I think it's sick. I absolutely love this shirt. I'm going to wear it today. While we're on the subject of Earthbound, before we wander off, I also have this hat, which I also use for my Halloween outfit. A little Nintendo break. Here's my Strider shirt. Winkle, who deserves to be in more games. Mega Man, who just decided to interject in the middle of the Zelda stuff. This is another Nintendo Power shirt, which is funny because I don't even have that game anymore. This is all of the Zeldas done in the style of all of the links of the various 25-year art. So this is a shirt I won from Nintendo Power for one of their sweepstakes. It was the only time I won something from Nintendo Power. And then I've got Midna here. And then here's Mario. Snowman's Land, I think is what that stage was. My Portal 2 shirt, which is a little hard to make out the details because it's kind of wrinkly. The River City Girls shirt is new. I got that pretty recently. It kept selling out every time I was going to buy something, but I finally got a hold of it. This is new. This is a Gris long sleeve shirt from Fangamer. Absolutely love this shirt. It's probably one of my absolute favorites of all of them, along with this one, which I actually have two of. I bought one for myself, and then somebody bought me one for a Festivus gift because they knew how to read the room. And then another Gris shirt. I love this one as well. I love all the Gris shirts I have. This one was done by a fan, so the quality is not quite as high, but I still like it a lot. I think it's very good. My SteamWorld Dig 2 shirt. And then my two Celeste shirts. There's Madeline. And there's Badeline. This is my Chrono Trigger shirt, which I like quite a bit. I think this is a really cool piece of art about the time egg in that scene with Marrow and Chrono. This is my Bloodstained shirt. This was from Fangamer. Perfect Dark. This one is kind of newish. I think I had it last year, but the art's actually on the back. This is my Dragon Quest with a random Pokemon in there for good reason shirt. Spiritfarer shirt. I love Spiritfarer. I need to get into the DLC. That's something I need to try to tackle in the near future. Maybe when I get done with Xenoblade 3. But I do love this shirt a lot. This was my most recent shirt till I got that Lin one. This is my Silent Hill 2 shirt with a rusted, mossy pyramid head. 2 Castlevania shirts. This is Soma Cruz from Aria and Dawn of Sorrow. One of my favorite characters in all the games. I love that shirt, but I do love this one more because I just really feel this captures that Castlevania vibe really, really, really well. So one of my 2 Okami shirts. I really like this one. I think it's very cute. And then my parents got me this one for holidays one year. I like it as well. And then Splatoon. This is still probably my favorite shirt out of everything. I absolutely love the execution on this, even though I have seen other people do this idea of the Gorilla's Demon Days cover. It works really well with the Squid Sisters and Off the Hook. And then this was my first Splatoon shirt before I got that other one. It's getting a little faded, but... And then my final Splatfest shirt, I was, of course, Team Marina. We didn't win, but that's okay. And last but not least, this is another one of my favorite shirts. It's Kirby and Ramen. It's adorable. I love this shirt. Okay, that's all of my gaming clothing, save a Zelda Wind Waker sweatshirt that I forgot to grab out of my closet. But I want to get all this done before it starts getting too warm in here. So you'll just have to believe that I have it. Alright, that's everything I have, gaming-wise, in my collection as of August 2022. Whew. These are really fun to do, but they are really tiring, so I've spaced this out, so I didn't record all of it at once. I recorded it over days, which is why I asked for a little bit of an understanding about not recording something last week. I also did 2 reactions too, and my schedule switched, so I just needed a little break. But thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you hanging out and seeing what I got. We'll be back next week with more gaming discussion. Until then, take care, friends.